welcome to Drag Racing 97, coming to you from Ipswich's Willowbank Raceway. Today's round 2 of the Castrol New Year Series, featuring the Formula 1 of drag racing, Top Fuel Eliminator, brought to us by Auto Pro. Current leader Graeme Cowin will be facing strong challenges from the leading Aussies, Rachelle Splatt, Robin Kirby, Terry Sainty, and of course from the USA, Glen Mikres at the wheel of Santo Rapasada's car. Well, the question on everybody's minds is, can the magic 300-mile-an-hour barrier finally be broken here in Australia? Tanya Campbell will be staying right on top of that story.
That's right, Rob. The magic 300-mile-an-hour mark. That's 482.8 kilometres in today's language, and no one in Australia has yet run that fast. The Santos Cranes team here has come closest. They've run 298 mile an hour in Sydney and 296 mile an hour right here at Willowbank. I know team owner Santo Rapasada is hoping to be first, but Graeme Cowin, well, he's running over 290 mile an hour consistently. And Rachelle Splatt, she's already become the first woman in the world to break that 300 mile an hour barrier when she raced a number of seasons ago in America. So the chase is definitely on. I'll keep you up to date with all that information as well as everything else that's happening right here in the pits.
So settle back, strap in and get ready to enjoy 60 minutes of high-speed action as we start with Top Fuel Eliminator. Plenty of interest from the corporate boxes as we get set for round 1. Joining me as usual in commentary, Nathan Prendergast. The team struggled a little bit in qualifying this afternoon.
Certainly did, Rob. Not the quickest we've seen this Top Fuel field. A 5.17 for Graeme Cowin put him on the top. But as you see, Glen Mikres not even getting a qualifying pass in. This should be very interesting in the first round. We do not know what to expect.
Well, all of these teams, bar Cowins, I guess, will be trying to investigate just what sort of settings they can put in. First round action sees Terry Sainty from Sydney up against Rachelle Splatt from Melbourne. Rachelle has been running particularly strongly down in Melbourne at the first round of the series. She's qualified just a little ahead of Terry Sainty, but the Sydney-based team, boy, have they got some potential.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting when they get that car sorted out, Rob. An unusual combination, twin overhead camshafts. Both cars are going into stage.
Big problems for Sainty. You see the fireball. Rachelle Splatt marches to a 5.18, 428 kilometres an hour, but not the sort of result Sainty's will want. Have a look on the Castrol replay. That looks like an engine gone west.
Yeah, I'd say it's a conrod or something like that. They have had gudgeon pin problems, which we saw in Melbourne, but Rachelle Splatt charges away. A great 5.1. Looks like she's on top of the pace again.
Well, Glen Mikres, the American driving for Santo Rapasada, didn't get a qualifying run in this afternoon. They came out for the last session, but unfortunately the clutch just a little bit tight. Now they're up against Robin Kirby in his new car. Kirby's been able to bite the number 1 players before. Mikres is really going to have to watch out.
He certainly is, although Mikres has really got on top of this combination with this car. They're consistently running into the 4s, well over the 280, even sometimes 290 mile an hour mark. Kirby, as you say, not as quick, but 5.30 performances, 5.40 performances. All it takes is one mishap for the Santo Rapasada team, and Kirby's got him.
Well, yeah, Mikres and the Rapasada team, they haven't tested out this racetrack. It's all very well to think it's just a quarter mile of bitumen, but the difference in atmospherics and track preparation from event to event, it's virtually a new ball game every time you go to the raceway.
Well, Kirby just edging forward now. Glen Mikres from the United States of America, very seasoned racer.
Kirby out of it early. Mikres charges to a 5.00, and he didn't drive it across the finish line either. Look at that, Santo Rapasada, the team owner, he is absolutely delighted.
The number 1 qualifier makes his way out, Graeme Cowin. Can he run 300? Tanya Campbell asked him.
Yeah, we can, Tanya, but so can anybody else. It's an equal chance out there for everybody, and we're going to try our best. I hope it's us.
Well, Graeme Cowin, of course, on top of the points so far. Number 1 qualifier here today as well. Reset the national record down at Calder Park Raceway 3 weeks ago to 4.92 seconds. Ran 292 mile an hour, so he is getting closer and closer to that 300 mile an hour barrier.
The car looks very nice this year. Graeme heads into stage. Big wheel stand for him. Forced to shut the car off. 11.75 is what he cruises through the top end of the track with. But I tell you, Rob, that car's making power.
Look at it on the Castrol replay. Just started to reach for the sky instantly. Graeme Cowin not with much choice in that. He had to back off.
Yes, I'd say that was the case. The car straight off the start line, arched. Have a look at it now from the starting line and just have a look at the arch in the car, the chassis working well, but too far off the ground for Graeme Cowin. Had to back it off to save the run.
Well, Top Fuel Eliminator's got underway in fine style. We'll be back with more action after the break. Time for the first round of Top Alcohol Eliminator now, brought to us by Romac Performance Products. There were 9 cars trying to fight out qualifying. That's how they lined up. The one that missed out was Stephen Reed in the funny car.
Very unfortunate for the 1994 Australian Top Alcohol champion, but he'll be back with a vengeance. Good to see Paul Shackleton from North Queensland in there though, Rob.
It certainly is. Paul down for Mackay, contesting his first ever Top Alcohol Championship race. He's run Top Comp here at Willowbank recently and done very, very well. Now he's stepped up, qualified number 6, but he takes on the quickest Top Alcohol funny car in Australia.
Yes, Steve Harker, there's no doubting the horsepower that this man is able to produce from the Dodge Daytona. Has put some big, big speeds on the board in the past. Shackleton will have to try everything to get around him. Both cars get away strongly. Harker with the wheel stand. That car's all over the place, but I think he's still got the top end charge. Steve Harker, 6.32 for the win.
Well, Harker was out of shape there. Have a look at this on the Castrol replay. The car comes up with a wheel stand twice. Shackleton, having a few problems of his own, was drifting around and unable to take advantage. Look at the front end.
Yes, and also have a look at the butterflies. Harker was on and off the throttle 2 or 3 times, still running a 6.30.
Well, the defending Australian champion in Top Alcohol Eliminator is Gary Phillips. He is up against Mark Brew. These guys have qualified 4th and 5th. This is, in theory, the closest race of the first round.
Yes, a 5.99 for Phillips, a 6.0 for Brew. A close matchup between these two. Phillips is 5.90 though, surprising. Seems to be a little bit off the pace. We tend to see Gary around the 5.80s, at least the low 5.90s.
Well, he is the current national record holder, and of course, running with plenty of support. Mark Brew also with a little bit of help from VOC gases, etc. But the defending champ for Aussie Bananas, I think this is going to be a tough one for Brew.
Certainly is. Brew will have to use all his start line, and he does. A big hole shot to the BOC car, but here comes Phillips. Big top end charge, and he's found that performance.
Well, Phillips had to get out of jail there, I think. Brew had him covered at half track, and the defending champion came back round him. Jeff Burnett and Stan Tindal are next pairing up. Top Alcohol, we see a big variety of cars, Nathan.
Yes, dragsters and funny cars generally, but Jeff Burnett back with the Altered, the world's quickest and fastest alcohol Altered, the first alcohol Altered to run a 5 in the world, and it is a feat which Jeff is extremely proud of.
Well, this car based very loosely, I might add, on a 1927 T-model Ford, but not as aerodynamic as a funny car, but they are permitted to run at a slightly lighter weight. Stan Tindal in the Stenola Racing dragster that we see on screen now, a former world drag boat champion, now taken to the quarter-mile asphalt sport and doing very well at it.
Yes, he is. He was a real threat to Gary Phillips. Let's see how he goes against Burner. Both cars side by side. Tindall's got the power. Burnett out of shape. And Stan Tindal will take an easy win. 5.84, 381 kilometres an hour.
5.84 seconds, quickest we've seen in this round of racing so far. Alan Dobson back for Castrol, now driving for Victor Bray. Fantastic to see Dobbo back at behind the wheel of the Castrol funny car.
Yes, it certainly is, Rob, but the West Australian fireman's got a real battle on his hands this time. David Glenwright in beside him, and David currently the quickest alcohol car in the country with a 5.76.
Yeah, Dobbo qualified with a 6.13, so he's got a real performance disadvantage to make up here. But the team have been getting quicker and quicker. This is the motor out of Victor Bray's world record holding top door slammer on the funny car. On screen now, David Glenwright driving for Romac Performance Products, the quickest car in the country. Team owner, of course, Bob Brackham.
Yes, Bob, the proprietor of Romac's Performance Products. Glenwright just lowering the visor there and brings the dragster forward to go into stage. This should be a great matchup. Dobbo always very sharp on the lights, yet David, as we said, has got the performance advantage.
This car has been absolutely awesome, the Romac Dragster. Keep an eye on it off the start line. Bit of tyre shake there. Dobbo's out on him. Here comes the speed from the Dragster.
Yes, a 592, 377 kilometres an hour. Dobbo with some tyre shake as well. But have a look at the tyre shake on the Romac car. The rear inside left wheel practically comes off the ground.
Incredible stuff on the Castrol replay. Castrol and Drag Racing 97 are giving viewers the opportunity to win not only some great Castrol supporters packs with autographed jacket, t-shirt, poster, etc., but also the experience of a lifetime. A trip for two to Melbourne's Calder Park Raceway. The lucky winners will join Victor Bray's Castrol Top Door Slammer team as part of the crew. 3 days of being on the inside of Australia's biggest race meeting.
Make sure you enter our Castrol competition line. You can be joining my Top Door Slammer team at Calder Park in Melbourne for the Australian Drag Racing Nationals. We'd love to have you.
Top fuel dragsters accelerate faster than any vehicle on Earth. They can achieve 100 miles an hour in less than 1 second. And during a quarter-mile pass, drivers experience G-forces exceeded only by jet fighter pilots. And how do they do it? Well, the short answer is brute horsepower. Now, by modern automotive standards, this huge 8.2 litre engine is a bit of a dinosaur. But despite its single camshaft pushrod configuration and only 2 valves per cylinder, this supercharged fuel-injected engine can produce in excess of 5,000 horsepower. And responsible for much of that horsepower is the fuel, nitromethane. This fuel pump forces so much nitro into the engine that it requires 2 high-powered magnetos and 2 plugs per cylinder just to ignite it. During an average burnout and quarter-mile pass, the motor will burn 60 litres of fuel. So fuel economy is obviously not a factor. Now, the forces required to produce 5,000 horsepower are extreme. So every part is built for strength. But even then, things can go horribly wrong. And most teams carry 2 to 5 engines with them as spares. And at $50,000 a piece, Top Fuel drag racing is by no means cheap. So how do you control 5,000 horsepower? Well, that's another story.
We'll be going back to Tanya and Top Fuel Eliminator later on. Right now though, we've got the opening round of Rocket Industries Top Comp Eliminator.
Yes, and it's Tommy Coonan. We've seen a lot of Tommy Coonan on Drag Racing 97. Very good competitor, but it looks as though he may have dropped off the pace a little bit. 760s last race meeting, 8-0s this time, Rob.
But still a very tough bracket racer. Top Comp Eliminator from Rocket Industries is the first of the handicap racing we're seeing today. In drag racing, we can delay the start on the Christmas tree right down to any margin of 1,000th of a second. As a result, we can race sedans like Tom Coonan's Ford LTD up against supercharged dragsters like Graeme Porter's and have a fair even race. Have a look at this at the other end of the track.
Yes, Porter on the chase. He's really picked up the pace of this supercharged big block dragster. 7-1-8. Very close race, that one, Rob.
Well, this is handicapping just about down to perfection. Have a look on the Castrol replay. There was 0.95 of a second handicap start to Tom Coonan. He won Top Comp at the first round of the Castrol New Year Series. Here comes Graeme Porter right on the line. He gets in by 15 thousandths of a second.
Spectacular race in the first round of Rocket Industries Top Comp Eliminator. Debbie Reed and Kevin Campbell come forward now.
Kevin Campbell driving for Bob Scott in the Pink's Tough Ford Coupe. Into the 7-second zone for the first time this weekend and really enjoying this Top Comp Eliminator action. Debbie Reed, well, she's keen to chase points in the series. Her supercharged small block Chevy Dragster, number 2 qualifier.
Debbie, a very quick racer, has run to the 690s, even 680s before. You can see her strapped into the car there. Her crew chief just coming over, resetting the tacho, tightening up the belts.
Well, at 190 odd mile an hour, you want to make sure that you're securely strapped in there, and Debbie does a fantastic job in this dragster. Yes, 681 she has run, supercharged small block Chevy down back. Up against the hot rod, 1.1 seconds handicap start, away goes the Ford. Debbie with a hell of a chase.
The dragster, the big top end charge. Here comes Debbie Reed, there by around about 3 or 4 feet, 7.00, but problems for Campbell.
A lot of smoke out of the car, but everything stays in control. That's the main thing. David Wallace now to take on Castrol's Troy Critchley.
Big, strong burnout from Critchley, the 6-second Ford custom line. We've seen a lot of this car in top door slammer racing, and Troy has really taken to the driving job so well.
Well, Victor Bray sent Troy out in Top Comp Eliminator to wave the flag for Castrol, and he's been doing pretty well. #1 qualifier he is. He's up against Dave Wallace, driving for Brisbane Drive Shaft and Balancing Service. Dave is going to get that handicap start once more. And believe it or not, identical to the previous race, 1.1 seconds.
Well, you can see the big supercharger hang out the front of the Calais there. Great pictures here. Dave Wallace just in the office at work, gives the thumbs up. He's ready for this one.
Well, he knows that there's a lot of speed behind him. Troy Critchley can run well over 200 mile an hour. The Commodore. It's going to get that start. Critchley to chase him down in the Castrol car.
Both competitors in the starter's hands. Wallace out too soon. A red light. Critchley gets the easy pass in the first round.
Drives the Castrol custom line to about 1,000 foot, shuts it down and still runs 704, 260 kilometres an hour. Top Comp really throwing in the action. John Mole now. He'll come up against John Payne. The crowd really love the supercharged racing. John Payne, one of the originals, of course.
Yes, very experienced racer is John Payne. We've seen a lot of him here at Queensland. He really has been there, done that. One of the first Wild Bunch racers on the scene. John Mole, a consistent competitor, a good 8-second runner, really has to work hard here against Payne, though.
Once again, the handicap will apply, but this time just 0.5 of a second. That's what the difference is in their nominated handicap times. John Payne will do the chasing. John Mole to get out in front in the HQ Holden. Away he goes. John Payne starting to make a big move already.
Yes, Payne with him at half track. He's on and off the throttle. You can hear through the top end of the track. Still runs a 773, 246 kilometres an hour, and a little bit of intelligent driving there, Rob, to save that dial in.
Certainly was. We're back into Romac Performance Products Top Alcohol Eliminator now. The semi-final. This is where the guys fight for a spot in the all-important final round where the points and all the money is at stake.
Big burnouts from both dragster competitors there. I was about to mention the fact that I thought Gary Phillips was large, and then David Glenwright comes out and does just as big a burnout.
Well, Gary Phillips there, he's very, very serious. Hasn't been as quick as normal in qualifying, but you can never count out the Aussie champ. And the defending champion headed for 3 in a row if he can repeat again this year. The Romac girls guiding back David Glenwright, but Gary Phillips really one of the stars.
Yes, he certainly is. He's a very quick competitor. He's found his pace of 5.84 in the first round of racing, but Glenwright, as I said earlier, 5.76 from this car, the quickest in the country. Phillips has really got to work hard.
Well, Gary Phillips, the side of his car is just a 240 mile an hour billboard with all the support he's got. It's amazing how the companies like to get involved when you're Aussie champ. They love to go with a winner. This pair go out, and I tell you what, it looks like it's a Romac car.
Glenwright all the way down to a 5.80, 3.88. He'll be pleased.
Dave, 5.80 at 243. You're into the finals. The first one for you in the Romac Performance car. You've got to be pleased.
Oh, that's great. A 5.80 flat?
Absolutely.
That's good speed. We're really happy with that. That's great. I mean, after that last round, we ran a 92 and it shook the tyres and went everywhere. It shook a little bit that time, but in the car all the time waiting to come out. But it's definitely worth it. It's worthwhile getting around Gary. He's a tough competitor. It's always good to have a win against Gary.
David Glenwright's into the final of Top Alcohol. Will he face Queensland's Steve Harker in the Spectra Thermo King funny car? Or is it going to be the New South Welshman, Stan Tindal, in the Stanola Dragster?
Well, Harker had a bit of a get out of jail in the first round when Paul Shackleton short shifted. We saw him have to pedal it. Big wheel stand from Harker, still ran a 6.30 and picked up the win. They may have to tame it down a little bit, Rob, to keep those front wheels on the ground.
Yeah, awesome horsepower in the Spectra Thermo King car. We saw it in the first round actually going into a power wheel stand at about third track. They will be trying to tame it down on the clutch department. Well, Stan Tindal, he started well with a low 5.8 second pass. Dave Glenwright has set low ET so far, 5.809 seconds. What can Tindal come back with? Can he make the final? Is it going to be Harker? I guess we'll know in a 5-second drag race.
Oh, we certainly will. Tindal has really been the force to be reckoned with in the 1996 Australian Top Alcohol Championship, and the way he's been going in 97 so far, well, he's got through at least one round of racing. He really looks to be on the money for big things again this year.
Well, Steve Harker, of course, when this car stays glued to the racetrack, it is fast. Has run 254 miles an hour. Listen to those revs come up. They'll put them up around 5,000 RPM on the start line. Away they go. Big wheel stand by Tindal, and Harker's up in the air again.
Harker comes on strong up top, but he's not going to catch Tindal. 5.80, 379 kilometres an hour. On the replay, Tindal with the front wheels in the air brings it back to earth, and now Harker goes into a power stand.
Incredible action from both cars. They're trying to reach for the sky in Top Alcohol.
Stan, you've just run 5.809. That's an identical elapsed time to Dave in his other semi-final. So you'll be meeting him in the finals. It's going to be some race.
A 5.809?
That's it.
I don't know what to say. It just seems to be running better every pass, and if we run a 5.809, boy, yeah, that should be a good final. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
You are hearing Jazz in the Now.
The main responsibility for transferring 5,000 horsepower to the ground in one of these top fuel dragsters rests with these slicks. But even they need help. If you unleashed 5,000 horsepower straight to these tyres the instant the driver hit the throttle, they would just spin uncontrollably. So a multi-stage clutch is used. The clutch is preset to slip off the start line and progressively lock up as the car travels down the track. It's a bit like a high-tech version of a hill start, using lots of revs and sliding the clutch. Too much clutch and you'll overpower the track, causing the tyres to blaze or smoke. Too little clutch and you set up a fearsome vibration, otherwise known as tyre shake. Once you've got these tyres spinning, the aim is to keep them firmly anchored to the ground, and that's where this wing comes into effect. When air travels over it at over 400 kilometres an hour, it produces up to 3,000 kilograms of downforce. That's the equivalent of having two mid-sized family sedans anchored to the rear of the car. Now, without this big rear wing and the smaller versions out the front, this top fuel dragster would rapidly become an airborne, unguided missile. So the crew chief has got a lot to consider when he's setting up his tune-up. He's got clutch, fuel, and a myriad of other settings. And when he's done his job, well, then it's all up to the driver.
The fans of all ages are ready for the semi-final of Top Fuel, brought to us by Auto Pro. Glen Mikres has got a solo, the perfect opportunity to throw everything at 300 mile an hour.
Well, Santa, will the 300 mile an hour happen today?
I think we're getting close and it can be done today. And I think we're the one we're going to do it.
Nothing like confidence.
That's right.
Santo Rapasada, the team owner there, retired as a driver as reigning Australian champion and really has his heart set on regaining that championship now as a team owner.
Of course, one thing we haven't mentioned, Robert, at this round and at the last round, the first round of the Australian Top Fuel Championship for 1997, Jim Reid is missing.
Yeah, that is a significant factor indeed. Reid, of course, won the championship last year. The car may be parked temporarily, but the sponsorship chase continues.
Yes, Mikres has really got a lot at stake on this run. It's a solo pass, as you said, Rob. They're going to throw a mile of horsepower at this track, go for a national record, and go for, more importantly, that 300 mile an hour barrier.
Well, the Santos Cranes team, one of the most professional in the country. They really do come to the line fully prepared, ready to throw this 5,500 horsepower at the track. Great run from Mikres, clicks it early, but a 492. That equals the Australian record.
Very, very happy scenes on the start line. Santo Rapasada is ecstatic.
Well, Glenn, you may have had a bye into the finals, but you have just run 4.92 and 250 at the half track, so you weren't mucking around. You're planning on going to the finals in a big way.
Yeah, well, that was the first time we've got to the other round. I picked it just a little bit early again. This racetrack, the way it is, excellent racetrack, a little hard to see at nighttime, so I clicked her off a little early, and yeah, we were going for it. We're going to try and set the national record on the next run.
Well, have a look at this on the replay, Rob. 250 mile an hour to half track. The car is arched on a mission. It gets to around about the 1100 foot mark. Off it early.
Have to say Glen Mikres still holding some in reserve there. Well, Rachelle Splatt out of Victoria was scheduled to run Graeme Cowin, but Cowin, some sort of problem with the Shell Rocket Industries car. He hasn't been able to make the start line. Rachelle Splatt will go on her own.
Well, that's unfortunate news for Graeme, but good news for Rachelle. She's straight into the final. We saw the big wheel stand from the Cowin camp. Obviously, it's developed a problem due to that big wheel stand, but as I said, Rachelle Splatt straight into the final. I'm pretty sure she's going to put this car down the racetrack and see how quick it can go, because 492 from the likes of Mikres, boy, the team better be on top of the tune-up.
Well, Rachelle was the only Australian to have run 300 mile an hour. She did that in the United States, though. This looks quick. Shuts it early.
5.14, both drivers saving their best for the final.
Well, Rachelle, 5.11, but you are into the finals. You're up against Glen Mikres, of course, who's just run 4.92. How do you think you're going to go?
Well, it's going to be a very tough final. Last time we were up here, we ran a 4. We've had a few problems, since then, so hopefully by the final we'll get it sorted out. We're getting better and better, so it's going to be a very tough final.
Plenty of work always goes on in the pits between rounds. You can see Bob Brackham there from the Romac team just working on the car. Rob Oberg, always plenty of hard work in the pits.
There certainly is. The maintenance on these machines is absolutely incredible in the alcohol pits and in the fuel pits. One disappointed guy was Graeme Cowin. Just Graeme, after a very promising start in qualifying in the first round, some sort of problem kept you out of the semi-final.
Yeah, mate, we tried our hardest. The car wouldn't start, and when it did, it had no fuel pressure at all. So obviously got an air leak, it's sucking air into the pump somewhere, but we just can't seem to find it. We changed the pump and it did the same thing, so it's in the car somewhere, like a fuel line, gremlin or something, I don't know. But we hope we did find it for next time, that's for sure.
Well, there's a long way still to go in the championship.
Oh yeah, but you can't go giving points away to the likes of Mikres and Rachelle. I mean, you get behind, it's hard to catch up. So come Adelaide, I guess we'll be able to get back in front.
Well, I think we can be sure that when Graeme Cowin returns to Willowbank Raceway in February, that Shell Rocket car will be running hard. Well, the Rapasada team going through the maintenance, and you can see the engine stripped down a long way in the top fuel pits. This goes on between every round of racing. All of the drivers pitching in, such as Glen Mikres there. Over in the other camp, Rachelle Splatt kept busy big time with the fans. One of the most popular personalities in Australian motorsport. We'll be back after the break with plenty more action from Willowbank Raceway. Welcome back to Drag Racing 97 and Willowbank Raceway. Of course, a night of drag racing at the track involves many different categories. We're going to pick up Hi-Tech Oil Super Comp Eliminator at the semi-finals with Colin Lloyd about to take on Mike Tinney all the way down from Cairns.
Colin Lloyd, problems there on the start line, Rob. Looks as though he went to bring the revs up and the car's dragged through the lights. He's pulled on a very early red light and therefore hands the automatic win over to Mike Tinney. 11.39 for him, 118 kilometres an hour.
Well, an easy win for the North Queenslander. It mightn't be that easy here with Dave Tucker, one of the real heavyweights in Super Comp Eliminator with the Hi-Tech Oils Camaro, taking on Brian Marsden. And I think Brian having his first run into the semi-finals with this new A dragster.
Both cars beautifully presented. The Hi-Tech Camaro just bumps into stage. Marsden in the dragster. Wheels up launch for Tucker. Now the dragster on the chase. Big top end charge wanted from the dragster to get around the Camaro. I think he's got it. Marsden gets there first, 787, big speed, 272 kilometres per hour.
Well, certainly is that. Those guys turning on some great action there, headed for the final. Now in Rocket Industries Top Comp, John Payne and Debbie Reid are going to fight out the same sort of battle.
The supercharged action comes your way. Debbie Reid, not much of a burnout from her. John Payne, we've talked about the experience in the from the Corvette driver. One of the first original Wild Bunch races, really has got this big block powered car to work very hard. And Debbie Reid likewise. It's a small block Chev powered car, but a six second competitor, and Debbie really knows how to drive it.
She'll do the chasing again. The handicap difference in this race, 0.65 of a second. We see crew chief there, Rod Marchant, once again tightening down those harness straps. Away goes John Payne. Debbie Reid on the chase now. Looks pretty good.
Certainly does, side by side. It's going to be fairly tight across the top end, but it is Debbie Reid, 693 for the win. 302 kilometres an hour as Troy Critchley moves forward now.
Critchley in the Castrol custom line, waving the flag merrily for the sponsors. Of course, this is round 2 of the Castrol New Year Series at Willowbank Raceway. Critchley will come up against Graham Porter. Now, Graham only put a supercharger on this car around about 3 months ago. Here he is fighting for a spot in the final, doing very well, running some low 7-second times. He's going to get 0.55 of a second handicap start.
It is good to see Graham doing so well. Low 7-second competitor, as Rob said. From memory, last meeting the car was running around the mid to low 8-second zone, so obviously the tune-up has really improved since then. Both cars into stage, you can hear the revs building up. Critchley comes out hard, he's got to chase him down. Porter still out in front, here comes the custom line, it's going to be tight. Porter there, 716 on a 715 dial in.
There was only a bumper bar in that. Well, in the support categories at Willowbank for the second round of the Castrol New Year Series, Ben Bray in the Junior Dragster came up against Mark Allan. Junior Dragsters for children 8 to 16 years of age still run on the handicap system. Mark Allan with a big start there. Ben Bray trying to chase him down, but I think Mark Allan, the comeback kid, he's going to do this in style.
Yes, Allan a 14.65 there at 65 kilometres an hour. Still pretty quick from a Briggs and Stratton. Ross Munster now up against Wayne Nipperes. Nipperes with some problems though.
Yes, the final of Superformance Super Street Eliminator. Nipperes hasn't been able to front. Ross Munster gets to go on his own in the Lockyer engine reconditioning car, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy this win.
Yeah, it's a nice comfortable win for him. 12.09 at 177 kilometres an hour to take the solo pass and the win in Superformance Super Street. Now it's time for the modified bike final.
Still handicap racing, 0.21 of a second handicap start going to Peter Batley there. Wendy Parsons is the girl trying to chase him down. Peter looking over his shoulder thinking, I've got enough here. A winning margin there, 10.72, 187 kilometres an hour in modified bike.
Time now for Craigar Performance Super Sedan Eliminator, and it's Dave Foreman on screen up against this wild Volkswagen.
Simon Holgerson, a V8 VW. You don't see too many of those around the world.
Pretty tight up the top end of the track. I can't pick it. The Volkswagen there first, 9.53, 220 kilometres an hour.
Ken Lowe Race Cars Modified Eliminator now, and there's Paul Beecham on screen in the Roadster taking on Russell Schaefer. These guys are fighting out the championship as well as this particular final.
Both guys extremely experienced. I think it might be Beecham. Beecham there first, 9.79, 215 kilometres an hour for the win in Ken Lowe Modified.
Comp Bike Eliminator now. John Aiden on the Phil Beaumont Motorcycles Kawasaki up against John Parker. Parker running pushrod comp bike class on this Harley Davidson, has been running 8.8.
Those sort of performances would make it the quickest bike in the country for its class. Parker is going to be the winner all the way down to an 8.82, 233 kilometres an hour.
Well, don't go away, Queensland. We'll be back after the break with all the big finals, including Top Fuel Eliminator. Welcome back to Drag Racing 97 as we run into the final of Hi-Tech Oil's Super Comp Eliminator.
And it sees Mike Tinney on screen now. Big burnout from that aspirated small block T-bucket up against Brian Marsden. Now we saw a good victory from him in the semi-final. 170 mile an hour car, this one, Rob.
Yes, certainly a Ford engine in the dragster, a 388 cubic inch small block Chevy for Mike Tinney down from Cairns. He's getting 0.51 of a second handicap start. Marsden left too soon. He's red lighted in the dragster. Tinney doesn't seem to know that. He's going to drive it all the way through anyway, and a good 8.35, 264 kilometre an hour win.
Well, Mike, all the way down from Cairns, and a red light in the other lane, but a win is a win.
Yeah, win's a win. Yeah, it was good actually. We managed to get right through today, and we're off to Adelaide next week for the first round of the Australian title. So hopefully we'll do well down there and continue for the rest of the year.
Well, congratulations on the win here.
Thanks very much.
Supercharged action now with a final of Rocket Industries Top Comp Eliminator.
Yes, and it sees Graeme Porter up against Debbie Reed, 2 supercharged dragsters, 1 big block, 1 small block.
All the sedans have fallen by the wayside in Top Comp Eliminator. It's an all dragster battle. Graeme Porter on screen with his big block Chevy powered dragster down from Toowoomba on the Darling Downs, up against Brisbane's Debbie Reed with the small block Chevy.
Yes, Debbie in there for the ladies. All the females out there get behind her. She does a really good job every time she comes to the start line, as does Porter. I said earlier on about Porter's performance being improved here this weekend. 7.15 was his dial in last round. Around the similar zone this time. Debbie Reed out in front. Porter's got to chase down. He's not going to do it. Debbie Reed will get there comfortably. 6.93, 2.87 for the win.
0.41 reaction time, you had that race in the bag from the start, it would seem.
Was that a 4-1? Oh, good. I didn't read it this time. Oh, that's good. I'm glad it's over. It's a long wait.
A very relieved Debbie Reed there. It's time now to update the Winter Smash Repairs Track Championship scoreboards. In Modified Bike Eliminator, Peter Batley is maintaining his lead from the hard-charging Wendy Parsons. In Superformance Super Street, it's Ricky Steffens still out in front from Steve Powell, whilst in Craigar Performance Super Sedan Eliminator, Aris Contaleon maintaining a lead from John Widgery. In Ken Lowe Race Cars Modified, Paul Beechamp goes to the top of the leaderboard, defending champion Russell Schaefer's right there with him. In Comp Bike Eliminator, John Parker, the Harley rider, leading from Kawasaki's John Aiden. In Hi-Tech Oil Super Comp Eliminator, it's Dave Tucker gone back to the lead, Greg Lay not too far behind, and Colin Lloyd still putting on pressure. In the new Rocket Industries Top Comp Series, it can't get much closer. Tom Coonan and Debbie Reed locked together on 125 points, while Graeme Porter starting to make a charge from behind.
Time now for the serious business end of the race meeting. It's top alcohol final. Dave Glenwright up against Stan Tindal.
What a scenario, Nathan. Both of these drivers ran 5.809 seconds in the semi-finals. Lane choice was decided by who did it first. There was no other way of separating them. And Dave Glenwright electing to go into the left-hand side of Willowbank Raceway. Stan Tindal from New South Wales. Well, this is going to be one of those drag races that'll be remembered for a long, long time.
I believe that's going to be the case, Rob. The figures say it all. Very, very tight. Even down to the thousandths of a second, these guys ran identical ETs in the semi-finals. Tindall's been stepping on this thing and has made some minor changes to the car, all of which are obviously paying off because it's going quicker and quicker. Glenwright, well, we know he's quick. He's run into the 570. He's the only car in the country to do so.
Well, with both of the guys running 5.80 seconds, they've equalled the national record. Will it go here if either of them sneak into that 570 zone, and we know that the Romac car's already done it with Dave Glenwright behind the wheel? We'll have a new national record in top alcohol. Romac Performance Products sponsoring the bracket tonight and putting their car right into the final.
Both these vehicles powered by Chrysler Hemi-based aluminium engines of around about 450 odd cubic inches, producing 2,500 horsepower.
Well, top alcohol, all 5 second action these days. The days of 6 second elapsed times are long gone. Stan Tindal, he may be a national record holder in about 5 seconds time. Glenwright could do the job. We're going to find out in this hard-fought final.
You can hear the revs building up on both sides of the track. They're into stage, side by side. Bit of tie shake for Glenwright, and I think it's going to be Tindal. It's very tight, but Stan Tindal, 5.82 for the win.
You've done it with a 5.82. How happy?
Oh, that's terrific. That's really good.
Now you know you ran 197 mile an hour half track.
That'd be nearly as good as anyone's ever ran, I think.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, no, the car's running extremely well. We basically got the same setup in it that we ran at Eastern Creek, but we made a couple of little changes, and boy, what a difference it's made. Every run we've done here has been quicker than we've ever done before, and we're really happy with it. I must thank High Tech Oils too, because boy, they've been supporting me all along, and they've been really terrific, and the crew, everybody's been fantastic. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
What a great result for Stan Tindal, one of the gentlemen of Australian drag racing. Well, from the United States of America now, Glen Mikres driving for Santo Rapasada and Rachelle Splatt. I think, Nathan, you'd have to say Rachelle's probably the crowd favourite here tonight.
Oh, I'd say being a male-dominated sport, yeah, Rachelle would be the crowd favourite, although Glen Mikres, I'll tell you what, he's collected a few Australian fans in his several visits to Australia. I tell you what, Rob, you really cannot get past that beautiful crackle of these nitro cars, 5,000 horsepower at idle. There's nothing in the world like it.
When you hear it first hand at the racetrack for the first time, you really know that you're enjoying a new experience. Rachelle Splatt there in the cockpit, the picture of concentration. Such a petite young lady, you wonder how she can handle this 5,500 horsepower, but doesn't she do it well?
She certainly does. Top fuel drag racing, certainly a four-dimensional form of motorsport. Sight, sound, smell and feel. You can feel these cars. They leave the start line and your whole inside shake.
We're ready to shake, rattle and roll now in the final of Top Fuel from Auto Pro. Will we see a new national record? Not quite. 493, not quite 300, but what a win for Mikres.
Well, Glenn, winner of the Auto Pro Top Fuel, that was some race between you and Rachelle.
Yeah, pretty good race. I never seen her, but we were trying to run low AT the race, and I guess we got fairly close, so what can I say?
It's a win.
We earned it. I think we got the consistency we're looking for now, and that's what we've been working for since I came back with Santo this year, to get the thing run consistent for us, and I think we've proved that we can do that probably at any track we go to now.
Let's take another look at that spectacular run. On the right header flame on Mikres' car, you can see sparks, Rob.
Yeah, a lot of them too. Let's have a look on this angle. Once more, there's the sparks out of that flame. It may be the porcelain off some spark plugs. It doesn't seem to have affected the car. A great run, a great win. Plenty of celebrations down there in the braking area. If you'd like more information about the event, the results or upcoming meetings at Willowbank, check out the internet. You'll find Willowbank Raceway with its own homepage. The next race meeting at Willowbank Raceway is round 3 of the Castrol New Year Series on February 22nd with more fantastic top fuel and top alcohol action. We'll bring you all of that vision right here on Drag Racing 97.